like sometimes too, when you achieve the goal, whatever you thought was going to be so meaningful, so like you have this goal and you're working so hard and then you get it and you're like, that's it. Like it just doesn't do much for you. Right? So as I get older, I realized like the habit, the success, the fulfillment is the journey. It's the everyday, like even some of these days, these long days, right, where you've had all this stuff going on and maybe you had to overcome some stuff and you had some challenges, but you do it anyway, you give your best. And at the end of the day, it's like, wow, like that's such a better day than laying on the beach with nothing to do, right? Like,
Welcome back to Shine In and Out, the space where science meets soul. I'm your host, Sammy Stoltz, and this is a place for conversations about the hidden architecture beneath human performance, the psychology, physiology, stress, meaning, and identity shifts that shape how we live and how we lead. So today's guest is Dave Gulas. He's an entrepreneur, a podcast host, a father of 6, and co-founder of EasyDC 3PL. After more than 2 decades in high-pressure medical and pharmaceutical leadership, he stepped into entrepreneurship and has built something more human-centered, adaptive, and aligned with real relationships and long-term trust. So this conversation is not just going to be about logistics or scaling business. It's about what entrepreneurship reveals about the nervous system, identity, resilience, and the internal evolution required to build something meaningful in uncertain environments. We explore pressure, reinvention, leadership, burnout, discipline, fatherhood, and the difference between external success and genuine fulfillment. So wherever you're listening from, take a breath, settle in, and enjoy this conversation. Let's jump in. Okay, Dave, welcome to Shine In and Out.
hey, Samantha, thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here.
So excited to chat with you today. So, I'd love to start with your story. Tell us how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so currently I'm the president and co-founder of EasyDC 3PL. So we're a third-party logistics firm, about 3.5 years old. We take the headache out of logistics for Shopify sellers primarily. So we're e-commerce 3PL. Prior to that, I had 20 years of sales and executive experience in the medical and pharmaceutical industry. Since starting the 3PL, along the way, I started a podcast, which is called Beyond Fulfillment, to where I interview different entrepreneurs and founders about their journey and what it's really like, not just a highlight reel, but the real story. I've been doing that about 2.5 years, and yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I do.
Okay. Heck yeah. So, it's a pretty different industry than where you started. How did that click into I want to do that?
Yeah, so I was in the pharma space and I was an executive at a company that abruptly went out of business. Long story where the owner and had some issues with the bank and kind of things unraveled pretty quickly. Um, and a good friend of mine from the industry that had kind of a similar business that we'd gotten to become very good friends over the years. He had just bought a warehouse in Kentucky and he had no idea what he was going to do with it yet. And so we started talking about an additional business to start. And we knew several e-commerce brands, coincidentally, that were having problems with their 3PLs. And for those that don't know, 3PL stands for third party logistics company. It's basically where you hire someone to do your warehousing, your fulfillment, that type of thing. So we knew these brands that were having problems, and we said, our brand of customer service, what we're used to from the pharma industry, would be perfect because we saw like a lot of complacency where poor service, orders weren't shipping on time, slow response time, and our brand of customer service from the niche of the pharma market that we're in, it's like you have to respond fast, you have to solve problems on the fly to even survive. So we're just used to a
Mhm.
different level of customer service. So we said, you know what, we'd be a great fit for this, and we just jumped in and did it. And so began this adventure that we're on right now.
Um, That's really cool. You saw a hole and you filled it. So one of the things that I'll quote you on is you have to be fast to survive. That in me triggers nervous system alert. So, um, tell me about how you observe, especially in the pharma, like you said, when it's like go, go, go. Are people aware of the tax that stress can have on their health?
Well, it's funny too. Probably not. Probably not. And just in general in life. And I'm glad you brought that up too, because when you think about nervous system, survival mode, right? I'm sure a lot of what you teach is how to downregulate your nervous system and stay out of survival mode and really have a very balanced way of living. And most people, not only in the pharma business, but really any business, most people at a macro level don't operate like that, which is why I think we see so many issues we have in modern life. But I mean, really, what I'm saying is, so within the pharmaceutical industry, right, where we were at, you're selling to independent pharmacies. Everything is medication. Everything is urgent. Everything typically ships overnight, and things literally go wrong all the time. So if you don't
Yeah.
have a partner that is willing to be available, to respond fast, to make sure stuff gets where it needs to be, and problems get solved, and you get an answer, so you can give your patient an answer as a pharmacist. If you don't have
Ugh,
that, you're going to quickly move on. So that's kind of
yeah.
the urgency and the seriousness of the customer relationship that we brought from the pharma space to the logistics space. And we saw, and you have to think at that time, this is 2022, so we're coming out of the COVID era, and we saw a lot of complacency that I think that was built through an imbalance of supply and demand, to where everything shut down. Online shopping went through the roof. A lot of 3PLs got all kinds of business gifted to them because of the situation. And through that, particularly in the big box arena, we saw a lot of complacency where people just weren't moving as quick as they probably should have, because they were taking a lot of business
Yeah.
for granted. So that was where the opportunity that we saw to really bring our brand of service and do things a different way. And particularly with emerging brands that maybe aren't established and are growing and need a partner that really can help them, because as a 3PL, we're an extension of the brand's business. We're their warehouse. So if we screw up, that can have catastrophic effects on the brand. So thus we take that very seriously in terms of the service that we offer.
Okay. So in your experience then, you're obviously still kicking and doing a great job. What do you think sets apart the people who are very productive but very stressed, and the people who are still productive but are sustainable instead of burning out?
Oh, well, I mean, I think so much of the way you feel and your longevity and your overall health and well-being, in my opinion, is based on the way that you live, right? So in the your daily habits, what you do every day. So I've built habits that I believe have gone a long way in helping me sustain and be productive and operate a certain way, such as just eating real food, eating clean, right? Eating
Yes.
a very minimal amount, if to no processed food whatsoever. Daily exercise. First thing I do is I start my day with movement and get some sort of exercise wherever I'm at in the world. Meditation, which I know you're big at. I'm very big into I learned how to meditate during the pandemic, and I've never stopped, and it's been a integral part of my life. You've heard the saying, you are what you eat. You really are what you consume. So it's not only the actual food, but the media, the people you're around, what you choose to allow into your mind, and all those things. And we could go on and on, but all those things I feel like are important cornerstones of living a happy, well balanced life that's going to make you a better version of yourself in every other area, particularly and especially as an entrepreneur, because and as we mentioned, so I'm on location at a trade show here currently as we record this, and I'm going booth to booth doing kind of interviews. And at this particular show, there's a lot of mompreneurs. So a lot of mom entrepreneurs, and they're telling their story of why they developed this product and what it's like and what their journey was. And it's just incredible the amount of adversities that these women have gone through, but yet they were so true to their mission and they got their product to market. And I'm hearing so many of those stories. So I say that to say the entrepreneurship is such a difficult thing on its own that, I mean, you have to, and again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you really have to have, I believe, a system for maintaining your well being and being able to sustain yourself through the inevitable adversity you're going to face on your journey.
Yeah, I think I was just talking about that, how adversity is, like, always a good thing in disguise because if anything, it teaches you how to grow and it leads you in the direction that you need to be. It toughens you up to where you need to make it to the next step. Like, it's never going to be enjoyable in the moment, right? But have you experienced, like, it's usually in hindsight, you know, now I try to notice it in the moment, like, what is this trying to teach me? But in hindsight, when you think about the hardest times in your life, how do you see them now?
Oh, I mean, there's been so many. And yeah, I love that perspective too, because you grow through what you go through, right? And you always want to, in hindsight, it's so much easier to see. It never feels good in the moment. And yeah, I love that too, because the older I get, I really try to just slow down, take in what you same thing. What is this trying to teach me? I mean, I'll just touch on a few things too, right? With like the business. When I first started, it's funny, we are just talking about Substack. I think this is coming out. I just wrote this article. I think it's gonna come out tomorrow, but on my Substack. But it was literally talking about the first time when we started this company, right? I kind of was naive to think if you build it, they'll come type of thing. I didn't realize how
Mm.
difficult it was going to be. I mean, I knew it was gonna be hard, but I always have that attitude. Yeah, yeah, I'll figure it out, that type of thing. I didn't know how hard it was gonna be. I mean, it was insanely hard to just get visibility, get customers, right? And I was never into content marketing, posting on social media, kind of being out there. I was traditional B2B sales, cold calling. That's so I get out to my first industry trade show and I'm just like, oh my God, we are like nowhere. And look at all these big companies and all our competitors, and they're so much further ahead and they're so confident. And I'm like, no one even knows who the hell I am. This is like, so I knew right there, like, this is never going to grow if I don't get out there and be visible as the face of the company. And again, I had never done this. I wasn't used to it. It was very uncomfortable. And I was scared. And I was like, I don't know. It's like, I don't really want to do this, but I know I have to do this. So I'm going to do it. And I just started doing it. And I just pushed through it uncomfortably. And the more I did it, it got a little less uncomfortable. And you know, s- just kept doing it. And then I started talking. I had all these conversations with other entrepreneurs, and I got so much value from it. And then had this idea one day when I was really quieting down and really trying to take in less and really, you know what I mean, just kind of understand better. And had this idea: you should start a podcast. So I just jumped in and did it. In less than 30 days, we published our first podcast. And you should have seen the reaction from all the people that knew me, friends and family and college. Like, you're starting a podcast? Like, what? Like, seriously? Like, why are you
Same.
starting a podcast? I'm like, right? And I was like, no, trust, no, it's going to be great. And I had this whole vision for it. And, I just started it and kept doing it. And you know what it's like, right? Like, you don't know what you're doing. You're not very good at first. No one's really listening. It's very uncomfortable. You kind of like, do I look stupid? Right? All this stuff. And it's I know I'm rambling, but like sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did I even keep going? Because I've got 260 episodes in. We're actually ranked
Heck
on Listen
yeah.
Notes top 1.5%. I've got a YouTube following. We're seeing some real growth, but I mean, so now it's a lot easier. But I look back, it's like, how the hell did I even keep going? Because when you start, you're like nowhere and you have to keep showing up over and over and over again uncomfortably to get any traction. And somehow I just kept going. And that's the game. That's what you got to do, whether it's entrepreneurship,
Totally.
podcasting, whatever. And yeah, so I don't even remember what your question was.
Me neither, but everything you were saying, I resonated with so much because my journey has been very similar. Like, it kind of comes to you in those quiet moments, and that's how you know it's like real. And I call it a soul tug. Like, the work that I'm doing now and the work that I intend to continue doing, I know my soul's not going to let me not do it. So it's like I have to do it, like you said, and that means I have to go on social media, which I don't naturally ever want to do. So it's a bunch of discomfort on top of like, I hated public speaking. I'm not a great fan, but I'm making myself uncomfortable in order to develop that skill so that I can impact people's lives better. So 100%, it's all of my growth is in the discomfort. Now I get excited for it almost.
Yeah,
Almost.
yeah, and it's so crazy too because imposter syndrome, right? That's so real, and I interview a lot of, and it's like this universal human thing. And some crazy
Uh,
successful people that I've interviewed, they're like, "Oh my God, I was so scared and I felt like I wasn't qualified, but I just did it." And I'm just looking like, "You felt you weren't qualified? Like, look what you've done." But yet, it's like this natural human thing that your survival mind is trying to keep you safe, but it's like you have to push through that.
yeah,
And
change is
because,
scary.
like you said, yeah, because your soul, I love that soul tug, right? Because it's ultimately what's in your heart that has to get past your rational mind to really, achieve that vision that you have. So, yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I it's just like the certain things that with time I realized weren't gonna stop tugging. So I said, "All right, let's just do it then. Might as well start early." So, yeah, imposter syndrome. And it is amazing because I catch myself in it all the time. Like I know my stuff. I know my stuff and then I'll doubt that I know it and then I have to prove that I know it in some capacity shortly thereafter and I'm like, "Oh, wait, I guess I do know it." It's just always gonna be doubting ourselves, but I think the more that we show ourselves that we can do it, the more that we put ourselves through those hard times, the more you see what you can handle, and everything gets bigger and bolder and better from there. So,
Yeah,
um,
love that.
I'm
Love that.
curious. So, you're a father of 6.
Hmm.
How has fatherhood changed the way that you work as an entrepreneur?
Well, so my youngest is 13. So
Okay.
I've been a father much longer than I've been an entrepreneur. Um,
Okay.
so I mean, it's just, and again, right? Fatherhood and parenting just changes and evolves over time. So just to give it a set, so my
Yeah.
oldest is 23. He's from a previous relationship. And then, so my wife and I had 5 and 5 years. So currently they're in grades seventh, eighth,
Woof.
ninth, 10th, 11th grade. So it's kind of
Woof.
been like yeah, it was all a blur with everyone in diapers and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then you move through the toddler stage and now they're all teenagers, so I have a whole different set of problems. Um, but
So
it's
fun.
just yeah. But it's amazing too because I can bond with them in such different ways and really seeing them all grow and develop and have their own personalities and the way they've become turning into young adults and that whole stage and really having so much deeper conversations and helping them
Yeah.
guide them ultimately into what they're gonna do in life. So it changes and evolves. But I guess how would I answer? How has it changed? It just you really take that more seriously about like just they're always the saying, it sounds so cliched, like they don't listen to what you say, but they watch what you do. Right. So I always just wanting to, and I don't even think it's conscious. I think it's more subconscious to where like they all have very good habits. They're all athletes. And especially my boys are very like just diligent about always training, always going to the gym, always wanting to eat right, always trying to be their best.
That's so good.
They look to me advice on different things in school and whatnot. So just always just trying to just for me, it's like a reminder that I always want to be the best version of myself because they're watching. And even now too, right? Like they were like, Dad, a podcast? Like seriously? But even now they're really like, wow, that's so cool. And oh, you wouldn't so like they were they all know I don't know if you know who Guru Nanda is. You know him?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I had him on my show recently, and they're like, "What? Guru not?" Because the I guess the whitening strips are so big with the teenage community. They're like, "You interviewed Guru not?" Like, they were, like, so impressed by that. So
Lightning strips. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong person. I gotta look that up
oh,
after.
yeah, he's called Doctor Fresh. He's got an oral care company, but he's been a long time entrepreneur, but he's big into Ayurveda too, which is probably and he kinda blends Ayurveda with modern oral care.
Hmm.
So anyway, he inspired me. So I've been
Oral care
oil
is
pulling.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I've
a
ever
big
since I
proponent of
talked to
oil
him and
mouth care.
he was so passionate about the oil pulling, so I started doing it and I haven't stopped since I interviewed him. So I've been oil pulling for like, over a month now, and it's so good. Yeah. I brought it with me on
Do you
my
do
trip here.
coconut
I got
oil?
my yeah, it's his brand, the Guru Nana
Nice.
stuff. So yeah, the coconut oil and mint, and, yeah, I love it. So
Mm.
anyway, I don't
Yeah, I
remember
mean,
what the
oral
question
health,
was.
like, I'm huge on oral health because it is literally like a pre-indicator of all of the health that's going on in your body. Your dentist could catch if you're having cardiac issues in your mouth. Like, it's just incredible. So anyways, that is really cool. I think part of the draw in some people's minds about entrepreneurship is that you are more in charge of your own schedule. Would you agree with that?
Well, yes,
'Cause you
but
don't have more time. Yeah, I'm not quite
well, so
experiencing
yeah, and
that.
you are in charge of your own schedule, right? And fortunately, I mean, even from my executive days, I was kind of it was a big small business where they did significant amount of volume, but run like a small company, and the executives carried a line and share the work. So it kind of felt like very entrepreneurial because there was always so much work to do. And now as an
Right.
entrepreneur, like there's always something to do. So, yeah, I have freedom in
Of
my schedule. I
course.
can schedule calls and do what I want. I can take off if I want, but yet at the same time, ultimately it's all on me, and it's like there's always something to do. And I forget who it was too, but they were talking, they called the phenomenon, they call it CEO brain. And they said it like I hate it. It's like I wake up at 4 a.m. and I can't sleep, and all I'm thinking about is all the problems I have to solve within my business. And so I wouldn't take it necessarily that far. And again, right, I'm very big into good sleep habits and all that. But yet at the same time, it's like it's not like it's you have freedom of your schedule, but yet there's always right,
You're
particularly
not
as a
free because it's your baby.
yeah,
You gotta take care of your
yeah.
baby.
There's always something to do, and you
Absolutely.
always wanna be and here's the thing too, you don't know what's gonna work, especially as a startup founder. You're trying all these different
Mm.
things. It looks like a great idea. You fall on your face. You're like, oh shit, that was not a good idea." But you have to get up and keep going and try something else. And then you have these crazy serendipities where you don't even know how it happened, but yet you're doing all these things, and boom, this random thing that you did along with 20 others was the one activity that gave you this big break and catapulted you to the next level. But yet you don't know what's going to work, so you have to do all of it.
Yeah, and
And
you gotta keep
yeah,
going.
yeah,
You don't know when
yeah.
it's gonna work either. The good thing is with the work that I'm doing, I wanna do it anyway. So, if it catches fire and impacts people's lives for the better, amazing. That is absolutely the goal, but if not, I'm going to enjoy the whole journey the whole time. So, can't complain. Even though it's hard and it's a lot and I'm constantly busy and I completely understand the CEO brain, I had to kinda work with myself on the never being done because I'm the type that likes to get ahead of things, and eventually there's too many things that you're just trying to stay in line, let alone get ahead. So, um, yeah, it's a different lifestyle, but I think in a lot of ways more rewarding because all of the work that you're putting in is for you and what you're standing for. Would you say you're
Yeah.
more motivated because of that?
100%, 100%. Like there's such a fulfillment that comes from, like you said, building something that, like I've been in sales my whole adult life, right? Yeah, always selling something. And now I'm selling something that I helped to create. And it's like, what could be better? And like, I think the attraction to me to sales originally is like there's nothing better like when you make a sale and it helps somebody and they communicate that to you and you can see how happy they are. It's like to me there's no better feeling, and it's like you get that so often when the customers tell you what a great job you did or how much you've helped their business or thank you so much because of this and that, or like they give you gifts around the holidays that you weren't expecting because they're just so grateful for what your company's done. All those things, right, just make it worthwhile. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree, it's just so much fun that I wouldn't trade it.
That's pretty special, and I never, must admit, thought of sales that way, mostly because I if I'm going to sell something, I have to believe in it so wholeheartedly because I'm not I don't have a BS. Like, I can't do it. I can't lie, I can't. So, even if I was selling a home, I my family's in real estate, and if I was selling a home, I'd be like, "Yeah, but you should check that pipe out because," like, like, I would be the worst. Um, like, I just but sales in general, and especially, like, selling myself and my business and my products, I definitely struggle with, but what keeps me going is that I know I'm able to help people the more that I do it. So, since you've been in sales for so long, what did you learn about human nature from being in sales, and the line between maybe watching other salespeople and recognizing who was authentic and who was maybe a little more self-serving?
Well, so I'm glad you brought that up, and I've written about this and posted about this too. So I'm in a unique position as a startup founder that's building in public because, okay, so much of my daily activities are sales related, but also I'm constantly pitched and really harassed by all types of different salespeople that they want to sell us software and warehouse type stuff. And now the podcast, all these
Yeah, I get a
marketing,
lot of YouTube people emailing me.
yeah, endlessly. So I'm pitched on all this different stuff. And sometimes too, I'll talk to them or I'll entertain them or whatever, right? And if it's something I'm genuinely maybe considering, I'll even whatever take a call. But like you said, so like 95% of them are just so bad. And it's just like it's self-serving. It's not on. And listen, right? There's no problem with communicating the value you offer and seeing if there's a potential fit and giving someone the option to say yes or no. But did so much of what I encounter from people that are trying to sell me is not that. And so, if anything, I feel like that gives me a great lens to see. Oh
Huh,
boy, that was so bad. Do not, not like I would think I'm doing that anyway, but it helps refine the approach to where I want to communicate being authentic, being real. This is what we do. If we can help you, great. If not, cool. If it's not the right time, keep us in mind, right? And we do a lot to generate inbound leads, so it's not like I'm cold calling or anything like that all the time. But it's like I'm always out there talking to people, and if there's a potential fit for someone that is our ideal customer, of course I'm gonna probe and see if there's an opportunity because you never know where the opportunities are coming from. But I always just try to be respectful, be authentic, and be true about the value we can make. Because again, right, at least in our business too, right, it's like the sales cycle is a little longer. People are choosing to move into your warehouse. You're going to basically form a partnership where you're an extension of their business. So it's not a fly by night type of thing. It's usually not a quick process. So it's got to be the right fit. So yeah, I
yeah.
just always try to do it the right way as best I can.
So, even I mean, selling a product, I think I'd need some practice before I could be remotely good, but selling oneself, say, for instance, probably I don't know if if anyone's with me on this, but the most uncomfortable question is, "Tell me about you." Like, "Tell me about your work. Tell me" like, brag ab like, when you're in an interview and they're like, "Okay, go ahead, brag about yourself." I'm like, "Ooh." Like, it just does not feel right to me. I'm sure you've interviewed a lot of people and been in a lot of interviews. How how is it best to respond to that? Because if you're overly ready to talk about it, then it comes across wrong, and if you're underly ready, it's comes across wrong. So there's gotta be a happy medium in there, or nobody wins the question. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you a couple different quotes that come to mind with it, what you just said. So I think it's Will Rogers where has said, "It ain't bragging if you've done it." So I
Ah!
always right, like there's nothing wrong with if you've done it, state what you've done. And then there's someone on LinkedIn that I follow and I really like her stuff.
Huh.
I don't even know if I'm saying her name wrong, but her name's Amelia Sordell. And she says too, shamelessly self-promote your business until you're rich and then you can be modest, but she's like, in such a noisy world you have to self promote, you have to let people know who you are, you have to communicate the value that you provide, and don't feel guilty about doing that, because the people that are getting ahead are doing that. And so, right, no one wants to sound arrogant or anything like that, but I mean there's certainly a way to present it, but I always try to look factual, right? These are the facts. This is what we do. This is who we help. These are our customers. You can talk to them, talk about what the podcast is. This is how many interviews I've done. This is our channel. You can look at that. Whatever it is real, right? And I just like to, even when I go to these shows too, right? Even though I'm looking for customers, I always try to engage in a conversation and get to know people on a different, and I just find
Yeah.
too, like that opens up a lot more. And it's nothing, listen, we're all trying to sell something, we're all trying to provide value, we're all trying to grow our businesses. So there's nothing wrong with getting to know people and understanding who you are and what you do. And yeah, and a total
Knowing
sidebar
you makes
conversation,
me
but
wanna help you more.
yeah, yeah. And so as an example, so I'm here in Vegas, and I just interviewed this guy a week ago on my show. His episode came out today, actually, and his name is Ron Grushkowski. And he's got a crazy story, right? He started his first company when he's 14. He sold it at 16. He took his bar mitzvah money and bought servers and created this digital music company and a private. I mean, it's like crazy. He's like, like who does that as a 14-year-old? He was just a
Wow.
natural entrepreneur, and then he's big in the fintech space. Anyway, so I told him when we talked on the interview, I said, "Hey, I'm going to be in." He's like, "Oh, I'm in my office in Vegas." I said, "Oh, I'll be in Vegas next week." He's like, "You should come by." So I took him up on that. Came by his office, and we sat in the conference room. He's just showing me around the office, and we had such a deeper conversation. And some of the stuff he's telling me about what he's done and his life and and he built an incredible company that's doing big numbers and big volume, and he's talking about the vision for this company. And it started after he had this exit to where he had he had like I forget the number, but it was tens of millions to where he was like retired. And he's like, he was talking about, I said, I was 36 and I'm going to retire. And he's like, I had all this stuff and he said after 2 weeks, I was going crazy. And my wife connected me with these other two friends of mine that had exits. And she's like, you got to get him out of the house and start something new. He loves to build. So anyways, now they're building this company and they've been building it for 5 years. They came to market and there's ridiculous growth and partnered in with some very big people. And he's telling me all about this. And um, it's just, you just never know where life's going to take you. But,
So
he was talking about just, what he does for employees and with these exits where they vest people and they give them shares in the company based on how long they've been there. And he's talking about, listen, it's not about the money for me anymore, but he's talking about the biggest joy he gets is the difference he makes in people's lives, people that are just employees and making modest salaries. And then when he's had these exits and he shows them the check they're getting, and people are crying. And I mean, and it's just like when you hear stories like that and you talk about what really motivates you to keep going after you reach a certain level of success, and it's so much more than just the money. And yeah, it's easy to say that when you've made that, but and right, because so many people are not living that. But I mean, it just shows you, right, no matter where you're at, you have more to do, you have more to give, you have more lives to impact, and you have
Yeah.
something that you feel compelled to do. And it's like, so regardless of where anyone is at their journey, I guess the whole point is, right, just focus on what you can do, how you can impact people, and that's going to keep you going and to bring you joy and fulfillment, which is ultimately what matters.
Yeah, and it makes sense from a biological standpoint. If you have enough money not to worry, then you're kind of open to more purposeful paths because you're not trying to survive. You're able to thrive and you're able to help others. So I love that. I absolutely love that. And I definitely would be the same way. I I force myself to take idle time. That's what I'm doing after this, but I definitely love to be busy. It feels good. And busy doing good things. That's what matters. Um so wow, 14. That's impressive.
Yeah, yeah, God. I mean, I've never heard a story like I've heard about some young entrepreneurs, but that like a story like that I had never heard. And I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs, but
Man, I tried some stuff in high school, actually Shopify stuff. One of them was like a CBD situation. I got shut down because it was like a licensing issue. So I didn't have that great of luck with my younger entrepreneurial journeys, but I learned a lot. So yeah. So the title of your podcast is Beyond Fulfillment.
Mhm.
How did you come up with that name? Is it I'm assuming a double entendre there.
Yes, yes. So it's a funny story. So when I got the idea to start the podcast, I have this boutique marketing firm, these two ladies that I work with that have helped ever since I started creating content. I tried a couple people to help me, and then I met them early on, and they've been phenomenal, and they've really helped me grow and find my voice. And so, anyways,
Aw.
when I had this idea, I said, "Hey, what do you think?" They said, "I think it's a great idea. Let's do it." And I said, "Okay, let's. We got to launch. We got to just do it." So I said, "We gotta come up with a name," and we started thinking of names, and one of them said, "Hey, what about Beyond Fulfillment?" And, same thing, double entendre, 3PL, whatever, and I'm like, "Cool, that's it, let's do it," and I put an announcement out on LinkedIn right away, and then I got, traction, and people were like, "That's great," people were volunteering to be guests, and it's just like, we just moved so quick. So from when I got the idea to the first episode being published was literally less than 30 days. And so if anyone knows podcasting, that's like quick. So I literally just threw it together and did it and never stopped. And that's been the process. So yeah, that's where the name came from.
I I love that, and I love that you're doing it all in public. I think it's very brave. I when I first started, I didn't tell anybody. I just did it. I just I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want my coworkers to know, you know, it's like I don't know why. I was always that way, like, I was fine with random people watching me at a softball game or a cross country meet, but when my family wanted to come support me, I was like, "No, please don't." I don't know, it's like the people that you, like, care more about what they think or maybe the idea that they have of you in their head and whether or not what you're doing matches that and the discomfort of the friction there, I don't know what it is, but I'm getting over it because I want to be authentic in all areas of my life, so
Yeah, and it's so true. And I don't know where that comes from. I mean, you're much more neuroscience uh, expertise than I am. So I don't know where that comes from either. But we mentioned parenting earlier. Anytime my kids say, "What I'm thinking about doing this," I always like, "You should do it. You should try it. Get out there and just see what
Yes.
happens. And even if you fail, you're going to learn." Like you don't, you like you, because you learn so much more from your failures, even though it doesn't feel good in the
That's
moment.
one of my
Uh,
favorite it's a Nelson Mandela quote, it's, "I never fail, I either win or I learn." I love that quote. I had it by my
okay,
bed
that's
for
where it came from.
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, love that, love that.
That's really cool and very good parenting. I've been reading a lot about parenting lately and different techniques and theories and whatnot. Chief among them being you have to let them make their own mistakes. And all of the even the really rough parts of childhood are setting them up to be tougher adults. So I really respect that. It's hard to watch sometimes. You hurt when they hurt, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so true. So true. You got to let them make their own mistakes.
so in that vein, what does fulfillment mean to you? Is is it different than your definition of achievement when you first started in the working world?
Oh, yeah. Boy, that's a deep question. What does fulfillment mean? I mean, I think, right, because achievement, and it's particularly, right, I'm sure your audience is kind of like my audience, where high performers, entrepreneurs, very ambitious, you want to go out and just build something, do something great. Good habits, your neuroscience, right? All that kind of stuff. But sometimes too, right? And I'm sure you can relate to this is like sometimes too, when you achieve the goal, whatever you thought was gonna be so meaningful, or so like you have this goal and you're working so hard and then you get it and you're like, oh, that's it? Like it like it just doesn't do much for you, right? And so as
Oh, man.
particularly as I get older, like I realized like the habit, the success, the fulfillment is the journey, right?
Yes.
It's the everyday, like even some of these days, these long days, right, where you've had all this stuff going on and maybe you had to overcome some stuff and you had some challenges, but you do it anyway, you give your best. And at the end of the day, it's like, wow. I like that's such a better day than like laying on the beach with nothing to do, right? Like, or just lounging
Yeah.
or whatever,
It's
right? Like,
rewarding.
yeah, like over, like
Absolutely. I
yeah,
ha
have it. Yeah, I mean,
it
you know what I'm
it
saying.
really is. It really is about the journey. I had similar experiences where, like, I would work my butt off all day, every day, and then I would get these awards, and it would be, like, super great for, like, a minute, and then I would be like, "Alright, back to the grind." You know, like, what else? You're never quite done, and it's never going to be an external accolade or circumstance that makes you feel fulfilled. It's the realization that you have to be present to be fulfilled and, enjoying the journey, like you said. So I really, really appreciate that answer. That's really cool. Here's another one. So
Okay.
I used to be the type of person that I was like, go, 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 work and output matters the most. And put my health at risk and time with loved ones, all of those things. Luckily, I learned real quick um, that that wasn't the way to do things. And I have a lot more of a balanced lifestyle now. My body really forced that on me. Thank you.
Yeah.
um, but I'm curious. I always wonder the busiest people, usually entrepreneurs, somehow manage to make time for their families and lead a balanced lifestyle. Like you said, you're meditating, you're doing all of these, you know training, being in nature. What is your, like, I guess, time budgeting secret?
I mean, it's fluid, right? And it changes. There's different seasons of life to where even now, we've built a certain level and now it's the kind of what got me here won't get me there, right? With the business. So I'm doing different things, trying different things. I mentioned all my kids are in sports. So, like, just as an example, I'm flying back from Vegas on the red eye tonight. So I'll land tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow
Ooh.
afternoon, I take my daughter out of town for a volleyball tournament for the weekend, right? So it's kind of, and it just work around it. And it's like, I always got my laptop where I'm at. So if I have work to do and during the downtime or whatever, I can. But obviously, when she's on the court and when the games are on, I'm there. They have team building activities. So we meet up and do that. But again, right, even if I have to stay up later, or get up earlier or whatever. I leave the office early for track meets for my other son, when those are in, but then I'll also work later that night if I need to, or I'll take a meeting on my phone if that's all I have in the moment, or you just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
So I guess my is just making sure you're there for the most important moments, and just kind of figuring it out, and somehow it all works. I guess that would be my answer.
I mean, yeah, because I would have the same answer if somebody asked me that question. On the outside, it looks like I'm doing so much, but to me, I'm like, "Oh, I wish I could do more." But I completely agree, and I call it the path of least regret because when I'm 80 years old on my deathbed, what am I gonna regret more? Not working 3 extra hours or not going to have that dinner with my family? When you put it into perspective like that, it's like, "Okay, I know what matters. I'm gonna, you know, keep working in the meantime. I'm gonna do everything that I need to do and want to do, but I'm definitely going to prioritize those few things that are just so irreplaceable." So, that I'm really glad that you have that mindset as well.
Yeah, and so you mentioned perspective, and you mentioned in your just reminded me of this other quote, and uh, for me, this is like I try not to. I'm always seeing stuff and reading stuff and all that, but this is one that really stuck with me that I really try to remember all the time. Is like, and I heard this from a guy's named Sahil Bloom. He's big on social media and whatever, but he said yeah, he's got this framework that, you're going to miss these days. So he's like, everything you're doing
Um,
today, your 90-year-old self is going to wish they could do that. So it's just like take time to slow down and
yeah.
just savor the moment, right? Because you're as young as you're ever going to be, and all these things that you maybe take for
Mhm.
granted, just being able to go have a strong workout or to actually take a walk and feel good,
Yeah,
right? Like because I see people, right? And I
so
think
true.
about that when I see people that are like 80s, 90s and super old and how they have to move, or maybe someone that didn't take care of themselves and they're older, and it's just like, just really savor the moment you have right now and take time to slow down and appreciate it because one of these days you're going to miss these days, even though it may. And if you don't have that really perspective to check yourself in the moment, it's real easy to kind of get caught up in your head about stuff. So I always try to keep that perspective in mind.
Yeah. I mean, about all of it too, like, I have a lot of friends that have body image issues, and I'm like, "Trust," like, your older self is gonna look at this and be like, "Damn, I was hot. Why didn't I appreciate that?" You know what I mean? Just all like, why didn't I feel more confident? Why you don't ever wanna feel like those gifts that you've been given are wasted, and so you have to look for the gifts. You have to really acknowledge them for what they are, even if comparison makes it feel like you'd rather have something else.
Yeah, and that's by
Um,
design with all the marketing. It wants us to be unhappy, so
yeah.
we go buy this or buy that or
Mm,
whatever. But there's so much to be grateful for. That perspective shift is so powerful.
yeah. So, I'd love to hear what you have to say to somebody with imposter syndrome starting out. They know what they wanna do, but there's so much going on in their head, like, "Oh, everybody's already doing this," because there are other PL firms, there are like, what would you say to that person that's just really in their head about it?
Yeah, I mean, like, you just gotta do because, again, if you have this
Mhm.
desire to do something, right, and you have this value that you wanna offer the world, and it keeps tugging at you, like, that comes from somewhere. It's not just random. And again, right, your head, your mind is wired for survival, and it's supposed to keep you safe and keep you alive, which is important, but yet, like, that's just like this crazy paradox of life to where you've got to really like everything you want every is on the other side of your fear, and if you have to push past that and
Yeah.
just do it, and it's like what's the worst that gonna happen? Okay, you're gonna fail potentially. Okay, so what? Right, but like imagine the regret if you don't do it. Like the pain of regret is going to be so much worse than the pain of whatever
Oh,
failure may come from it.
exactly. I would so much rather try and know, than regret and never know. And, you know, I've also reframed fear because if I'm genuinely, like, afraid of the outcome of something, it means that I genuinely care. And there were things that so I actually because my family is in business, I got all freaked out when people were talking about how hard organic chemistry was, and I was like, "All right, fine, I'll just go into business." So I was taking my first business courses, accounting and whatnot, and I was just so complacent. I felt nothing. I was bored. Like I when I met with my guidance counselor to talk about the next semester, I was like feeling like, "Oh god," like despair. Not because it's not a wonderful thing to study, but because it just wasn't for me. And what I knew was for me were the classes that I missed and somehow found easier, biology and chemistry. So it's such an individual journey. It's every time I've heard from other people, avoid this professor or don't do that, and I end up having to go there or do it, I'm like, no, this was great. So just you never know. You never know what it's going to feel like on the other side.
Yeah, you have to get good at trusting your intuition, right? Like
Mm,
that's your inner tuition, your inner guidance, and that comes from somewhere. And it's like it's so easy maybe for people to doubt themselves and listen to opinions and not like it doesn't make sense to talk to people and learn about stuff, but it's like you have to trust your gut. I feel like and if you do that, you're going to wind up making the right decisions.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just read something on LinkedIn, Dr. Aaliyah Crum. She's one of my like I don't even know. I just admire her so much. But she was talking about like you should expect it to be hard. You're starting a business, you should expect it to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's just part of the thing that you agreed to. I'm doing a PhD, it's going to be hard. Like why fret over it? I know it's happening and I know I'm going to get through it and this is what I signed up for. So I'm signing up for life every day. I'm getting out of bed and I know it's going to be hard and I'm going to look for the silver linings in all of it. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, love that for sure.
So, Dave, I've loved this conversation today. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience? Just anything that comes to mind, anything you wish your younger self would know, any of those things?
Oh boy. It's crazy too, right? Because I can look back at my own life and like this and I'm 47, so I've lived a pretty good amount of life and plenty of challenges, mistakes, whatever, but it's like I don't know, I really love where I'm at right now, so I don't have any regret because I don't have any regrets because who knows if something would have been different, I wouldn't be where I'm at. But I would just say again, if you have the desire to do something, if you have the ambition to do something, just follow your instincts, follow your gut, trust yourself, and just take action because that's the biggest differentiator that I see from people that are really successful and living their joy, living their purpose, and really having these happy, successful, fulfilled lives is they were willing to take action through the discomfort and follow
True.
follow their intuition and regard because even if that what you think you're going towards doesn't work out it could lead to something else but I would just
Oh, 100%.
follow your gut, take action and see where it takes you and yeah the success is in the journey is the
Yes,
destination I guess is the way to say it, right? The journey is the destination, the happy fulfilled journeys.
absolutely. I I love that. I love that. It's a beautiful journey if you let it be.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm excited
thank
to
you.
share this with everyone, and I'm excited to tune into your podcast and your Substack. I've been doing most of my interacting socially on Substack. I think it's a wonderful community. Like everyone is really there to uplift each other. It feels like.
Cool, cool. Yeah, let me mention my Substack real quick. Who's that? Literally just
Yeah.
yeah. I'll give a shameless plug if I may. So if you're an e-commerce brand looking for help with your fulfillment, you can check out easydc3pl.com. If you want to hear some great entrepreneurial stories, check out the Beyond Fulfillment podcast. We're on YouTube and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And I just launched on Substack, and my Substack is called Hard to Kill. So I'm taking it a
Ooh.
little bit of a different direction with the entrepreneurship, but I've noticed just for talking to hundreds of entrepreneurs and interacting with so many is the people that ultimately outlast and find success. They don't give up, and no matter what's thrown at them, they don't die, they don't stop. They're hard to kill, and they outlast
Yeah.
all the adversity. And ultimately, that's the difference I see from the people that make it and the ones that don't. So I'm taking a little bit of a different direction and putting that in my writing. We just launched, but check it out, and would love to hear your feedback.
That's sick, Dave. I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into all that. I have a lot to learn being in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, but one thing that came up for me before we close off is sometimes you just have to be delusional because not that there are good people and bad people, but that especially if your intentions are good, it is almost your duty to serve society with that deed or whatever you're trying to provide as service, because there are people out there that are trying to spread ideas that they think are good but are actually not good for the majority of people, and they're doing it shamelessly and yelling it from the rooftops and not afraid of anything to have their influence. So I'm like, well, dang, if they're doing that, I kind of have to balance it out with the good stuff. So, if for nothing else, for the balance of things.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. So, um, yeah, thank you so much for having me, Samantha. This has been a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Have a great rest of your trip. Good luck to your daughter on her volleyball game. And I'm looking forward to keeping in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for being here and sharing your wisdom and experience with us today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Shine In and Out. If this conversation resonated with you, consider sharing it with somebody who's navigating growth, reinvention, leadership, or the pressure of building something meaningful in this very uncertain world. If you enjoyed today's discussion, you can check out Dave's work and his podcast, Beyond Fulfillment, where he explores real human stories behind entrepreneurship and success. As always, this show exists to explore the place where science, psychology, biology, and human experience meet. I'm Sammy Stoltz, and I'll see you next time on Shine In and Out. Stay grounded, stay curious, and keep shining.